There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream from expatsportugal.com. How was your weekend? Great, I hope. And do feel free to send in any images, pictures, videos, if you have them, of the lovely things you did in Portugal or anywhere else in the world, for that matter. It's of course, Monday the 24th of January, and we will have the migration update, visa update from Gilda Pereira from A, or EI, as we tend to call them here. Who's in this morning and how are you doing? Do let us know in the comments. Lots of lovely bits and pieces for you this morning. I think nice and easy does it into the new week. My pictures for you this morning, I want to show you the sunset from yesterday. I mean, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? And when you manage to get yourself in front of a decent sunset, and that's fairly easy to do here in Portugal. Not to take it for granted, of course, but it seemed especially spectacular. Took my mum up to the Gralha beach, and we're only going to take the dogs out for a walk, but then we were treated, coincidentally, perfect timing, to a fantastic sunset, which looked like this. Let me just find the right one for you. Yeah, some of this, a new vantage point that I found. San Martino, where would that be? That would be the north end. Yeah, the north end of San Martino, looking out over the bay there, and the islands, Belinga Islands. If you zoom in really closely, you can see those. And then another view as I scrabbled across the rocks and into a little area where there are some of these fantastic windmills. I don't know who makes these or puts them up in San Martino de Porto, but they're all over the place in San Martino de Porto, along some of the favorite viewing points, vantage points, miradouros, as they're called here, of course. And they're there, and in the wind, they spin homemade windmills, little wind turbines. They're fantastic. And then this morning, I have a sunrise for you, the sunrise over the Pampas this morning. Same sun, I believe. There it is again. This morning, blessing us, blessing each and every one of us. And I stood for a moment, and the dogs stood still for a moment too. It was a really nice little moment to feel the sunshine rising up for us, as though it were just for us this morning. So yeah, do let me know how you're doing. This is, of course, election week coming up, and I've made this slide for you, which you can find on the YouTube channel, and I'll put it on the show notes as well. Portuguese election, of course, and we'll talk to Gilda. I think Gilda, like a lot of people, not necessarily Portuguese people, but all around the world, quite unbothered in so many ways. Or cynical is too strong a word, but a kind of weariness. There's a weariness, isn't there, about elections and politics. Maybe it's just the last couple of years that we've had, but there just to show you what's going on. Portuguese election 2022. There are 230 seats to be fought for. Or was that the right word? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit too strong as well. But 230 seats. And 116, of course, is the majority that's required for rule. And you'll see on the left of your picture there, the current Prime Minister, the incumbent, Antonio Costa. Thank you to, does that say Armo or Armo Miko for that picture? And all of this from Wikipedia, actually, if you want to know my source. This is as I've discovered it, as I've researched it. The PS party and the PSD, they're the main parties in the race, with left bloc putting some pressure on them as well. There's also the PCP, Portuguese Communist Party, in the mixed, the CDS, PP, People's Party, PAN. I really love PAN, People, Animals, Nature. Actually, I don't know if I love them or not. I just like the name so far. There's a controversial Chega led by Andre Ventura, ex sports pundit, I believe, and representing that somewhat alarming strand of politics if you go with the sort of mainstream narrative. And Liberal Initiative, Libertarian Party, and Livre, the eco-socialists as well. So those are the runners and riders for the election, and that will take place next Sunday. And I was asked if I would be covering that. I'm not against that idea. I don't know how many people would bother tuning in if would join me next Sunday evening to look at the Portuguese coverage. Of course, you can't really do election coverage without staying up until the early hours. So this time next week, I might be a little bit bleary-eyed, more than usual. I hear you. I hear you thinking. So there you go. There's the election. We'll see what Gilda has to say for that. About that, but do let us know what you think. If you have any sense of Portuguese politics, what's your money on, or where would you vote if you would be prepared to say that? Also, look at this wonderful picture. I think we'd like some Guess Who's, wouldn't we, from our very own community. No, not the gentleman on the right, but who is that famous actor on the right there? Tony, of course, Anthony Hopkins, lovely man. And one of our own community here pictured with him. Who was that? I'll let you guess. Who that is. And do send in pictures of yourselves from the past, and to see if we can guess who you are. It could be a picture of you as a kid. It could be a picture of you with a celebrity. It could be a football match. And because I say that because I have one of those in mind, somebody from our community as well at a Sporting Lisbon match, who I don't think you will get. But we'll leave this there, and I'll put it up periodically throughout the show. And we'll come back to that. But who do you think that is on the left there? Who is that Gumper on the left? Who's the Gumper on the left? Right. I don't mean politically, although that might be true as well. We'll come to your comments in just a moment. Andy, Pampas. Why are you writing about Pampas there? Andy, we'll come back to that. Let's have a look at the weather, shall we, this morning? Bit of a crispy one this morning. I was out with the dogs. It's still quite chilly, but beautifully bright, as you could see from those photos. And actually, I've got a couple of news sources, in which I was not forced exactly, but influenced to find. Because you can see, can't you? It's kind of lazy what I do with the news. I look at either the Portugal News or the Portugal Resident, the English-speaking news sources here in Portugal. But I found another one yesterday that's a little bit more general and not as editorial. It's factual in the sense that it's reporting on what the papers are reporting. So make of that what you will. And also I do go back to the Portugal News for their video news, and I'll play you their clip from the 21st, which I think you'll find interesting. It's obviously dated, and there'll be another one out today. But I don't want to steal their thunder by sharing their news video before they have. But let's do the weather and come back to that in just a moment. Here it is. Let's have a little scan, shall we? See what it's looking like across the country this morning. And some sunny days to start the week. 15 the high in Lisbon today, starting off at 7, currently 8 with a clear sky. And that is 59 and 45 respectively in the Fahrenheit there. A couple of cloudy days. This is the weather outlook for the rest of the week. Thursday and Friday, both looking a little bit cloudy, and then back to some bright sunny skies for the weekend, rising to 17 degrees, 63 degrees at the highest in the capital. Porto currently 2 degrees, but rising to 16 later on in the week, and bright skies all week. Isn't that a beautiful picture to behold there? Coimbra, central Portugal, 3 degrees currently, rising to 16. It's such a brilliant differential, and that's why Garvo said he was sat on the patio in his string vest at the weekend, and then when he went inside, he had to put on a jumper inside, not the other way around. Not intuitive, as you might imagine, counterintuitive. You've got to dress up to go inside at this time of year in Portugal. Cloudy one on Thursday, rising to 17, however. But a bit of cloud on Thursday, and then some bright sunny skies for the rest of the week. As it stands, cloudy, however, in Faro. Look at that. We've got cloud from Monday to Thursday, or so the predictors tell us, the seers of the weather. 11 degrees at the moment with a few clouds. So bearing out the prediction, the actuality, 11 degrees. Cloudy, bit of sunshine peeking out from behind the clouds, rising to 15, but going to 16 towards the end of the week, or the weekend, actually. Bright, sunny days for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with highs of 15 and 16 degrees. And look, pretty sunny in Aveiro for the rest of the week. Beja, a few clouds, Braga, though, sunny all the way. Let's look for those low temperatures, though, shall we, this morning? Braga, 0 degrees at the moment. Evra rising to 15 later on this week with a bit of cloud. Leiria, sunny days mainly, bit of cloud though Thursday and Friday. Let's have a look at Guarda, shall we? -2, -3 in Bragança as well, but very bright. It's going to be beautiful up there, isn't it? With those clear blue skies, but -2 and -3 in Guarda and Bragança, respectively. How about that? So 4 degrees in Viana do Castelo up in the north, and 0 degrees in Villarreal. Amazing. Quickly then for the autonomous regions, the Azores, 14 at the moment, rising to 16 later today. And rain later on in the week. Madeira, paradise, 7 degrees, scattered clouds, started off at 3, already at 7, the high today, and a bit of a cloudy and rainy week in Madeira. There you go. That's the weather for you. Looking ahead to the weather for the rest of the week. And great sunset. What area exactly is the Silver Coast considered to be? Oh, good question. I'll come back to that. I'll see what other people have to say about that. But thank you, OLP, who's obviously here and in-house. Good morning to you, OLP. Oh, shall we just dispense with the weather and news before we come back to your lovely comments and greetings this morning? Here's a news source I want to share with you. I'm really surprised after many months, if not years, of looking at this sort of thing. I'd not seen this before, and this is CPHRC Editorial Services. Sexy name, huh? But this is what they do. They are they're not exactly a news reporting service. They seem to be reporting on the news reporters, but this is pretty good, and I'll stick it in the comments for you because you might want to take your pick, get a little bit of a news potpourri here, right? And I'm looking on the screen at the moment. If that type is a little bit too small for you, which it might be if you're looking on your phone. How do you consume the show, by the way? Are we up on the big screen this morning? Are we looking at a phone and you're just tuning in while you're moseying around the kitchen, putting your breakfast together? How do you consume the Good Morning Portugal show? I'd love to know that, if you don't mind popping that. I'll make that a question, actually, on the YouTube channel as well. Today's question on the YouTube channel is, who would you vote for if you want to tell us, and if you're in Portugal and able to vote? The only comment we've had so far is from left bloc voter, who'd be happy to vote for BE. But look at this. They're giving you the headlines. What are they? Editorial services, I suppose. Yeah, that's what it says there. CPHRC Editorial Services. From the 23rd of January, they just give you a bullet points on the leading news sources. So Lusa, Ventura confirms opposition to the Liberals' savage privatization of TAP. Chairman of Chega, Andre Ventura, reaffirmed he is against the savage privatization of TAP in the Liberal initiative style, but argued that the airline should serve the whole of Portugal. And the IL leader, Coutinho Figueiredo, says his party's convictions are not over and never will be for sale. That's the sort of tub-thumping political rhetoric you want to hear at this time of year, isn't it? He added that on the 30th of January, there's a clear choice between stagnation for the nation, and arrogance or growth and change. That's very familiar, isn't it? We either change and grow or we stagnate. Typical sort of political tub thumping, but what can you do? Portugal cannot have ministers who assume mistakes a year later, and that's the IL again, reported by Lusa, saying that Portugal cannot afford ministers who only take responsibility for crass errors such as road accidents or deaths a year later. And that's a reference to former Interior Minister Eduardo Cabrita, who was involved in a fatal motorway incident of some controversy. Going to RTP, thanks to CPHRC, lots of abbreviations there this morning, 315,000 voters expected to vote early today. This was the news as of the 23rd. We're on a news time machine. I'm going to take you even further back in just a moment. But the polls opened yesterday, it would seem, for early voting in the parliamentary elections aforementioned. And they also say at RTP that immigrants in Portugal are barred from voting on the 30th. Immigrants who have come to Portugal on holiday are barred from voting in the legislative elections. So presumably that's Portuguese people who are back on holiday, but they can't take part in the voting. You'll see here that there's the usual sort of grisly news coverage, as well as the political headlines that I'm reading out for you across this. Rather good, I think. This is going to be a great news source for me. And if you like a cross-section of news, this might be for you as well. But successors enter campaign to claim victory for leaders. This is going to Expresso now. PSD and PS almost crossed paths in Espinho. Andre Ventura heard protests in Braga. Ines Sousa Real went to the market in the land of Jerónimo. And the left continues to talk to the PS with no response to the opening for dialogue. I feel like I'm part of this political build-up now, reading this. I felt woefully underprepared in the previous weeks, hoping to get some clarity from our Portuguese friends here. But this feels a bit better, doesn't it? And Rio, who I think is Senor Costa's main rival, Rui Rio, here on the street, there are those who say they are going to vote for the PSD for the first time because of Rui Rio. There you go. So a controversy again. I think he's a Marmite kind of politician. I think he told... well, some of his information was challenged, wasn't it? No, sorry, that was Antonio Costa. Let me get that right. I know that Rui Rio was also in the headlines, but that's not unusual, is it? As we come up to an election, forget that last bit I said. Let's come back to that another time. And Pedro Nuno says, if Rio thinks I'm a bogeyman, the solution is to vote for Costa. Antonio Costa was joined by Pedro Nuno Santos, the man the PSD has turned into a bogeyman. Wow. Okay. Publico. This is interesting. This is good electioneering, isn't it? Publico and the news outlet Publico. 4-day week. Will we have more life beyond work? A question the Portuguese are asking themselves. Antonio Costa touched on the subject. Portuguese workers continue to be among those who work the most and produce the least. What? I don't like that last bit. Is that true? So are we ready for change? Antonio Costa chucking in a sort of veiled suggestion possibly there that he might bring about a 4-day week. From CNN Portugal, the new news source, I can hear people booing already. Rui Rio's party took the lead in the daily tracking poll with 34.5%. So they're all about the polls, aren't they, at CNN, as you would expect here, while the PS dropped to 33.5%. Rio wants his party and lead it to victory. So wants to unite his party. A lot of typos. Is that this news source I'm looking at, CPHRC or CNN themselves? But with a week until the election, Rui Rio is quietly confident of victory. But I guess you would say that, wouldn't you? You wouldn't say you're not very confident about winning. In fact, I might lose. You don't often hear politicians saying that. And the prophet Emmanuel, who managed to get Rio to tap his foot. The certainty of the PSD's victory next week was on the streets, in the polling, and on the stage in Aveiro. So mixing it up with babies and musicians as usual, those old politicians, right? Diario de Noticias also talking about the bogeyman idea here. Bogeyman Pedro Nuno. What's he done? Pedro Nuno Santos joins PS campaign while Luis Felipe Menezes and Luis Montenegro join Rui Rio there. People nailing their colours to the mast in this last week. Jornal de Noticias, Porto's PSD mayor criticizes Rui Rio after a day after being acquitted of malfeasance. What is that? Rui Moreira did not recognize in Rio any ethical authority. And Sol, a news source I'm not familiar with, but here you go. The campaign brings PSD closer to PS. I'm cherry picking now. And law does not allow open air voting, says National Election Commission. So scientists probably saying, and medical people saying they should vote outdoors. There should be, it says here, look, outdoor voting for those who are self-isolating is not legally permissible. So you're going to have to maybe put your hand through the window and be guided into the box. But that's probably not legal either, is it? It's letting someone else touch your voting hand. TSF, Costa compares Rio to Passos Coelho, probably a historical figure, right? Costa says that the only reform social security needs are economic policies that promote growth. So I guess with centre-right, centre-left politics, it's all about the growth, isn't it? All about the growth. Rui Rio said, as the engine of a centre left or right capitalistic economy, right? All about the growth and the economy. The PSD leader challenges those who agree to vote PS. That's Rui Rio again. Says he's not afraid to reform the justice system. So you always got to talk about the justice system as well when you're electioneering. And there he is. There's Rui Rio saying that. And Rui Tavares warns of rising levels of Romanophobia. and Livre leader Attack Schäger and its leader Andre Ventura while campaigning in Almada, just across the water. That may well be. Is that the district that Gilda lives in? Is Sejal in Almada district? I'm not sure. But Almada, just across the water from Lisbon there. Concluding for us our news headlines. What do you make of that? We'll come to your comments in just a moment. I want to play you one more thing when it comes to news. What do you think of this? I think this is rather good.
Hi, I'm Carrie Marie Brackley. Here's the news. 3/4 of the electricity produced by national energy supplier EDP in 2021 came from renewable sources. Wind represented almost half of the total renewable production last year. Hydropower dropped significantly following the sale of 6 dams in Portugal. 10 circus animals that were voluntarily given up by circuses in Portugal have been transported to sanctuaries in Germany and Spain. 3 crocodiles, 4 snakes, 2 tigers and a lion have been rehomed after protocols were signed to support the voluntary handing over of circus animals, which are banned from 2025. The self-scheduling of COVID jab booster doses is now open to the over 35s. Self-scheduling of appointments online opened to over 35s yesterday, having previously opened to the over 40s on Monday. Keep up with all the latest news by subscribing to our daily YouTube news bulletins or see the Portugal News' website, theportugalnews.com. South Korean brand Samsung has reported a record turnover of close to 400 million euros in Portugal in 2021, leveraged by its mid-range and high-end products. Nuno Perreira, head of Samsung's mobile devices in Portugal, said the company closed the year with the best performance in terms of billing in the Portuguese market, despite restrictions and a global chip crisis. And Portugal is opening its first physical Bitcoin stores. Spanish startup Bitbase plans to open 2 stores to buy and sell cryptocurrencies in Portugal and have ATMs for the same purpose, one in Lisbon and the other in Porto. The weekend's weather is looking bright and sunny for the mainland, with some high cloud in the south and scattered cloud in the north, and those overnight lows will rise a few degrees across the map from Sunday to Monday. However, all of the mainland, with the exception of the Alentejo and Lisbon, will remain under a yellow weather warning for the weekend due to the cold. Madeira will be warm but wet on Sunday. The Azores will stay mild and dry.
What do you think of that? There you go. Is it Kelly Marie? Oh, I forget her name now, but I'll remember. I'll write it down for next time. But that's a news time machine. Those are the Portugal news headlines on video from last Friday. So you can check if the weather prediction was right there. But some interesting things. Bitcoin shop opening up. Was that a Spanish startup? And our alternative energy, EDP's use of alternative energy sources there in the news. So what do you think of that? And the reason I play an old one is because I haven't got their permission to play a current one. But I thought you'd like to see it. I thought they'd be glad that we shared it with you this morning. We'll see. We'll see it. If we hear from them. I have asked for permission, but I've not heard back yet from the Portugal News. But I quite like that. Let's see how we get on with that, and let's see what you think about it as well. So Gary Orgles had a great weekend. Fantastic. Let's look at a few of your comments now as we wait for Gilda Pereira from A to join us at 9 a.m. for the migration and visa update. Thank you, Gary, for your message, and I'm so glad for you. My license could possibly show up in the mail, but Mrs. Duck hasn't even got an appointment yet. Okay, so license update there. Granular and personal news here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Phew, just in time. Bon dia Gumpers from Big Boy Crypto Pants, who's in this morning, as is Moaz, who's changed his name again. He is like Prince. So we just call you Moaz and not Abu. We've got to forget about that, have we now? Moaz, bon dia, Carly Toros and Helen. And great to see you here, Moaz, by the way, and Big Boy Crypto Pants and Thunder and Gary. Thank you to all of you for being here and making the effort to be here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. But here's a name we haven't heard from for a while. Helen, how lovely to see your face again. Hello, Carl. Sunshine from Thailand this morning. How are you? How's it been for you? Suze is here as well. Hey, Suze, how are you in Finland? Owen. Bon dia, Alegria. And I must show this very quickly while we're here. This is the Galloping Gourmet. And this was sent in by Chris, who you know as Capricorn 12 on the screen. The Galloping Gourmet there. This is how they used to cook in the UK back in the 70s, folks. He's actually got no penny for him. tux, full on dinner jacket business, as if he's going out to a ball, but he's actually in the TV studio cooking up a storm there. So we're thinking maybe, Owen, you got the old mandanas on, haven't you? You and Garvo, color-coded mandanas, so there's no confusion in the studio. But how about you don your tuxes? And the funny thing I think about dinner jackets, often, if people don't wear them very often, they're usually too small, aren't they? Because it's often been a while since someone's had them on, and they have to cut the waistband at the back, or they're really glad they've got a cummerbund. Is that what they're called? Cummerbund. So it covers up how it's bulging at the front these days, and the buttons are nearly popping off on their frilly shirt. But how about that? So the next cooking session, third Wednesday of the month. Ask anything about Portuguese cookery and food with Owen and the amazing Austin brothers from Alviagra. How about dinner jackets, guys? You don't have to wear trousers even. If the trousers are too tight, just leave them off, because we never see the bottom half, do we? You could cook trouserless, but with a nice dinner jacket upstairs. let's call it that. And there he is, Capricorn 12, we sent in that picture. Hola, Faija do Dia is Minefield. Oh, I love that track, Minefield. Let's dance together in a minefield, which wasn't the best advice, let's face it, by eye level. 80s jazz funk at its best. Yes, I will look that up after the show. Thank you for that, Chris. Hope you're both well. All well, in fact, the whole family. Oh, sorry, Thunder. I thought you had yours already. Oh, what's that then? Great sunset. What area is exactly the Silver Coast considered to be? I'll come back to that, as I said. Let's see what people are saying in the comments, because it's controversy. Never far away from controversy, are we, in this day and age? And I think that extends to what people call the Silver Coast as well. Bon dia, Carl. Same sun, really, Carl? You are so funny. I think it is. I think you'll find it is. I'm having me breakfast, watching the show, says Moaz. Good thing to do at this time of day. Now, if you'd said to me, well, I suppose, hold on a minute, it's a very early breakfast for you, which negates what I was just about to say. Enjoy your breakfast. Bon dia. There is a big push to eradicate the invasive campus grass in our area. Blooming students saying their campus grass. Shaker votes on Sunday, everyone else on Monday. I wonder what that means, Thunder, there. Is it the people that's got the sort of Shaker voter profile, the people who have responded to those messages of radical and drastic change? Get out early, is that what you're saying there? The same sun, Carl, imagine that. Well, that's caught your imagination, everybody. Nothing goes unnoticed here, does it? Bon dia de terra dos meus pais. Look at that. Prof is in the country. He is in the country of his people. That's beautiful. How's it going, Prof? And Elra's here as well. Morning up in Scandinavia. Morning all from Elra. That's far too broad, isn't it? Almost bordering on insulting. It's a bit like saying, although we do say over there in America, don't we? Which is bigger than Scandinavia. No, or is it? Maybe it's not, actually, thinking of all of Scandinavia. But it's Finland, isn't it, that you're in, Elra? And good morning to you. Hi, hello, bon dia, Portugal. I did vote by post last week. All the best to all from Jose Manuel da Costa Diogo. What do we call you? I often call you Diogo. Have I got that right? Pampas. Pampa. All right, he's getting frustrated. Sheesh. Pampas grass. Yeah, it is invasive, isn't it? I didn't plant it. It wasn't a clue or an invitation from me talking about pampas grass all the time. It's just a fact that it happens to be in the most attractive vantage point for viewing the sun in the mornings. The Life of Brian, Monty Python, reminds me of political party names. Okay, give us an example of that, Big Boy Crypto Pants. Oregonians, OLP, from James, who's also here this morning. Morning, James. Senor James is here, roughly between Lisboa. Ericeira is towards the southern end and north to Porto, I believe. That's where the controversy is. I don't think it goes that far north. I think it stops south of Aveiro, personally. But it would include, I think the epicenter of it is where I live. And I'm not saying that because that's where I live. But I believe that the Silver Coast really is the seaside towns of San Martino de Porto, Nazaré, and Peniche. This is the Silver Coast. But then you can include in that Figueira da Foz, and you can go up to some of those beach towns south of Aveiro, like the places whose names I can't remember this morning. So there you go. Does Anthony Hopkins live in Portugal? I didn't know that. No, it's a really old photo, and we're trying to find out this morning which of our Gumpers is in the picture here on the left. Tony on the right, lovely man, and one of our gumpers on the left there. I might give you another clue. I'll find out. I can't remember the name of the movie, but they're on set there, and this gumper was involved in the film industry, and it moves among us. Do you know who she is? So do send any pictures you've got. I'd love to see more of you from back in the day. Send a picture of yourself that we wouldn't guess very easily who that is. So some people you're going to guess straight away, aren't you? But some people not so much. And the older it is, probably, or a different time in your life, the better. Send them in to 351 913 590 303, and I'll stick them on the screen. And Gilda, I think, is in the green room and thinking herself already of what picture of herself from the past she's going to send in one day so that we can guess. Obviously, if she does it now, we're going to guess it too soon, but maybe one from Gilda as well. So there you go. Who is that on the left of the screen there with Sir Anthony Hopkins on the right there? In a much more pleasant role than Hannibal Lecter, by the look of it there. Okay, let's have a look. See, just a couple more comments before we go to talk to Gilda this morning on the migration and visa update. Let me just take that off the screen for you, and we'll go live to Gilda in just a moment. But who's saying what this morning? Moaz, he doesn't live in Portugal, but has been a few times, as has Donald Sutherland, to a hotel just down the road from where I used to live in Korea, the wonderful Korea Palace Hotel. Donald Sutherland was in the country filming a movie there a few decades ago. No today in Portuguese history, but a couple from the weekend just gone. Thank you very much for that. And politicians, very good, riffing on the themes this morning. Politicians grow pompous grass. Very good, OLP. And I thought it was pompous gas. Check you lot out this morning. It's a Monday morning, but look at you. You're firing on all cylinders this morning. I think Madonna used to live in Lisbon. Yeah, I think that is right. That was going around, wasn't it, that story? But I think she's gone again. We can ask Gilda in just a moment if Madonna is her neighbour. What is the coast called south of Lisboa to Sagres? I'm going to go with the Atlantic coast. Last weekend in Portuguese history, 1947, Henrique Galvão read his report on native problems in the Portuguese colonies to the Assembly. So why is this important? We're going to find out in just a little while, aren't we? And we've got some American football news, or is it baseball? Oregonians OLP laughing at James. No, that's Andy laughing at OLP and James there with their excellent political comments this morning and humour. Hoping that my EU health card arrives in the mail today. Not that I'll be travelling soon, but having it will be a step towards Portugal. It all counts, doesn't it? All these little bits and pieces are very important to us as we make our journey. You're gathering things like a magpie, gathering shiny things on your migratory journey. James, the 49ers beat Green Bay in Green Bay, and it was 1 degree Fahrenheit and snow at the end. Quite a feat for a sunny California team. So well done, the 49ers, whatever that means. And I'll need an education. Maybe somebody could come on and teach us about American sport, particularly baseball and football, right? And Andy, Silver Coast ends just above Aveiro. Ooh, we're not at all settled on this. Another question for Gilda this morning. And going back then to, is it Henrique Galvão? Yes, 1947. He condemned the shameful outrages uncovered, notably the forced labour of women and children and of decrepit old men, a scathing attack on the Portuguese administration in 1947. And the report, not surprisingly, was suppressed by the regime at the time. Thank you, Prof, for those really, really useful insights into Portuguese history. And so glad to know that you will stand on this same earth at the moment over here in Portugal. Smash the like button! And the OLP watches on the MacBook Air. So not the biggest of screens, but a nice clear one, I suspect, if Apple have anything to do with it. Okay, Gilda is here, everybody. Let's bring her onto the screen. Let's take off the ticker tape and put this on because she's here live from... Hey, good morning to you, Gilda. How are you?
Hello, good morning, Carl. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. A fairly leisurely weekend, which had... Oh, there's a picture of me going around. Some of my so-called friends here on the Silver Coast have a picture of me fast asleep on my front lawn. with my dog by my side. And this guest took the picture, came to the house, and took the picture of me when she left the premises, and then circulated it on the internet of me fast asleep on my watch in the garden yesterday afternoon. So from that you can deduce I have had quite a leisurely and lovely weekend. Beautiful sunset last night as well. How are you? And how was yours? Did you sleep on your lawn yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to say what you did do?
Well, I actually, I was watching the Godfather the other
Again?
weekend. No, the
Okay,
other
all right.
weekend. So this weekend, we decided to watch with the kids the Karate Kids.
Oh, great. Which
Yeah,
one?
with the kids, the first and the second.
Okay.
Yeah, and they loved it.
Okay.
We didn't
Yeah.
expect them to love because it's not their kind of movie, and it's not for their age, but they love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the 80s there. It's very different times now.
Yeah.
And then we took them to this restaurant that is in Seychelles, that it's called Mr. Miyagi, with
Oh,
the Asian
yes.
foods, and they loved it.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. That's
Yeah, and
brilliant.
they were eating noodles with the chopsticks.
Oh, fantastic. So the whole weekend was kind of Karate Kid themed then. They really took it up and ran with it.
Yeah.
That's superb. But the thing is, I mean, I take your point. I mean, Karate Kid 1 is 80s, isn't it? Are we talking about Karate Kid 2 as well with the same cast, or are we talking about the Jaden Smith later version that you watched as
No,
well?
no, no, the same cast,
Oh, so
the
it was Karate
original one.
Kid 1 and then the sequel to it, all from the
Yeah.
80s. Okay. But the thing about those is, and that's a mark of a good film, isn't it? Is the storytelling. And it doesn't matter really, does it, which decade it's from? If the storytelling's
Yes.
strong enough, that comes through, doesn't it? And clearly your kids picked up on that. So they've got the remake to watch as well, which I think is pretty good. And then you're probably not going to let them watch Cobra Kai. I watched Cobra Kai, which is the much later sequel, isn't it? When they're grown up from the first Karate Kid, if I'm right there. But there's too much swearing and it's really horribly violent, unfortunately. I started watching it with my kids the other night, and grandma's here as well, which is an added dimension of censorship. And I had to turn it off, sadly. So Cobra Kai, I think Cobra Kai is for a much older audience. But so glad to hear that. But I wonder what next weekend we had Godfather last weekend, had Karate Kid yesterday. Any suggestions, anyone, for either for Gilda on her own watching gangster movies, or whole family entertainment with strong stories like the Karate Kid? And also, probably what would be good is having a film where you can go out and eat a food of a similar vibe as well later, like as you did. So we need to watch out for that, don't we? Mr. Miyagi's in Seychelles, Asian restaurant.
I'm sorry?
So you have Mr. Miyagi's is the restaurant in
Yeah.
Seychelles that people can visit.
Yeah.
Superb, excellent to know. Okay, so sorry, you were going to say. I think you were going to add something there.
No, I said, yeah, we had a great time, and the kids were very happy.
Superb. Okay, so a great weekend by the sound of it, and it's lovely, isn't it, to gather around a telly and share a movie that all the generations can enjoy. You know, the grown-ups maybe with their own memories of the film, and then the kids coming into the action and enjoying it afresh. What's the world of migration looking like? Any updates from the world of migration? And of course, 1 week to go, less than a week to go to the elections, Gilda. What say you about all of this?
Well, migration, we are having some problems because of COVID. Some SEF office are not having enough people, so they've been canceling some appointments,
Right.
such as in CNAI, Porto, and also Albufeira.
Okay.
And this is very stressful because people have their appointments, and now we are getting calls from SEF canceling those appointments.
Right. Okay. So when you say we've got some problems due to COVID, we're talking here about people being infected and staying at home and not working.
Yes.
which is causing a staff shortage, and that's why there are cancellations of appointments.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
And is that affecting SEF at every level and in every department with every kind of visa?
Not every SEF, just some offices,
Yeah.
and yes, every kind of visa.
Okay. So is that how they
Because
tend to work then? When you work at SEF, are you somebody who's multi-skilled and you work on every kind of visa there is, or do you tend to specialize if you're a SEF person?
no, you work in any kind of visa.
Okay, so you get the ticket, and the ticket tells you which part of the office you're going to, and those people are multi-skilled, which makes sense, doesn't it? Particularly in this instance, if people are off sick, that doesn't mean the whole department needs to shut down. But when they're off sick in this scale and this many, sounds like some departments are shutting down. So be wary of that. What mitigating factors for people who have urgent appointments and need to see SEF, and we're hoping to see SEF? Presumably, SEF will look kindly on the fact that it was their delay.
Yeah.
Okay, and they'll make an allowance for that, will they? Hope
They
so.
will.
Right. Okay. I know this is a difficult position for you to be. You can't speak for SEF, can you? Because
No.
you are at their mercy as much as anybody is. It's just that you have thousands of cases of migration in your experience, which makes you the expert. But you can't. This is how it works, isn't it? With any migratory migrational authority, visa authority, there's not much anyone from the street can do to influence those decisions, except to best know how to deal with them, which is where you come in. But I know I put you in this position every week, Gilda, asking you what's going on with SEF and what can be done. But there's only so much you can do, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can do, and I hope what I hope is that they can receive these people as soon as possible,
Yes. Okay.
and I
All
think
right.
they will.
Okay. You think they will? Okay. So your guess then, your sense of it is, well, I think again, it's crystal ball stuff, isn't it? We don't know. I think people are feeling and hoping. My God, people are desperate now, aren't they, for things to return to some semblance of normality or the new normal or whatever you want to call it. But that the pandemic will be turning endemic, and that things can be processed in a well. Actually, we don't want the old normal, do we? We want it to be better than the old normal, but we certainly would like to see a little bit of a shift and see the end of this pandemic, so that these cases can be processed. And then, obviously, dovetailing into that, the changes of SEF into APMA. So this is what we talk about every week, isn't it? This perfect storm of delay and difficulty for one thing or another, and there are multiple factors. But in many ways, it can only get better, can't it? I mean, it's looking like as these things improve, that should bring some exponential improvement to the whole system, and people will be seen a lot faster, I hope.
I don't want better than normal. For me, normal is okay. For me, normal would be
Yeah,
fine.
okay, fair enough. Then. Fair enough. It's not an unreasonable request on fate, providence, and the gods, is it? So, all right, back to normal would be fine, and let's keep our fingers crossed that we are moving into better days.
Can you imagine, inviting your friends to dinner out and knowing that everyone is going to show up?
Like the old days?
Yeah, because now you invite and only half of them show up because the other one is with COVID, the other one was with someone that was with COVID, and
Yes.
it's always like that. Or you schedule a trip and then you cannot go because you are isolated. It's a big mess. So
Yeah, and
going
not
back
just
to
that.
normal would be fine.
Yeah, and then the three people who do turn up out of the six, one of them rings you next week, don't they, after the dinner party,
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, I've tested positive," and then on it goes. I see what you mean. Normal would be so great, wouldn't it, compared to that?
Yeah.
And this is what the kids are growing up into, isn't it? It's like they don't know what it's like to have friends and family come round without the phone ringing the day before or even hours before saying we can't come after all. They live in quite uncertain times, don't they? Bless them, the little ones.
Yeah.
Which is their normal now. So yes, fingers crossed then for for any semblance of that sweet normality that you speak of there, Gilda. Okay, so Gilda is here from A, and we are talking about anything you want to talk about to do with visas, migration to Portugal, and politics, of course. Now, this is what I prepared earlier. Here's a slide I prepared earlier, Gilda. There is our current Prime Minister there. And those are the parties. Do you have anything further to add to this? Because I know the sense I get is it's not your favorite subject. It's a kind of functional, practical thing that obviously needs dealing with, but you're not excited about it. Exactly.
No, I'm very excited.
Really?
Especially, yeah, especially because it's going to be very surprising what's going to happen.
Okay. So it's got exciting then. Things have
Yeah,
changed. Okay, tell us
yeah.
about that. So what's going on?
So the more the prime minister talks, the
Yeah.
more unpopular he gets.
That's not unusual.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So it's getting excited.
okay. So what's he been
Exciting.
saying? What gaffes has he been making?
He keeps talking about the budget that was ready and vote on me because I already have the budget, and people are getting tired of his speech.
Right. Okay. So there is some cynicism and dissatisfaction.
A little bit of he's being a little bit arrogant.
Okay. Again, qualities we might recognize in the political sphere here. And his main adversary, I mean, the main opposition is coming from Rui Rio, right?
Yes.
Of PSD. Now, what's he like? I mean, hasn't he been putting his foot in it as well? Didn't he get called a little Nazi by somebody as well? I mean, that's pretty serious, isn't it?
A little what?
Nazi. I thought some of the it's true,
The
isn't it?
left.
An Olympic athlete gave him a
Yeah.
dressing. I mean, that's a serious insult, isn't it? So what's going on with him?
Because when he was a mayor in Porto, he was a very strict person.
Oh,
But
okay.
that comment was not very.
You got to be
She
careful.
was very criticized about that.
Yes, yeah.
That was not a very happy comment.
No, clearly.
But
And it's
yeah, but the way he's making his campaign is that he's the one that is not talking about not talking bad about anyone.
yeah.
He
Okay.
decided that he's not going to talk bad about anyone.
Well, okay, fair enough.
So he's just minding his own business, and he's very friendly and very kind and smiling and making jokes, and I think that people are changing their mind because of that.
I think this is a good strategy. But and do you think it's
It
genuine?
is not really.
Oh, because it would be a great strategy if it were true, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
great if it wasn't just a contrived load of old PR nonsense? But sadly, it seems you think it's not genuine. But I guess some people, with these things, it tends to be the least worst, doesn't it? We're not. Let's be honest about it. We're not voting for magnificent people and systems, are we? We're trying to sort of mitigate the worst effects and going for the least worst on offer. But so as you have it then at the moment, do you think the country generally is speaking are with Rui and it might be a PSD victory?
At this moment, there are good chances then that
That's
yes.
right. And if we've learned anything from global politics recently, whoever's supposed to be winning on Saturday, it will be the opposite, won't it? Come the result. So this seems to be what happens. There may well be an upset, like so many other elections that we've seen recently around the world. And we're also in that very familiar situation, aren't we, where it's really close. Where we've got one of these 48-52 type scenarios, hard to call, and the media may well get it wrong. Let's see if it goes that way. And Do you think it's worth us staying up late on Sunday night and doing a show about it? I don't mean you as well. I'm not going to put you through that exhausting process, but I'm wondering if anyone would be that interested. But I mean,
Yes,
you think I should do
many
it?
people.
Okay, so maybe we could get a few people on, and it could be like you know how those American football games where you have two guys in blazers saying, "Well, look at this, Jeff. This is unbelievable. What's happening right now?" We could have some expats. Can we have 4 expats on screen trying to make sense of the Portuguese election and saying, "This is extraordinary. That man has just walked out of the polling station, and we don't understand a word he's saying. I wonder what that means, Jeff." So maybe we'll do that on Sunday. Maybe we won't. Okay, let's see if we have any questions for you. Because it's been a bit, honestly, I think you've answered everybody's questions around the world. Because back when we started this, we were overloaded with questions. And now not so many. I think we've made so many videos. We have so many authoritative resources around the place that perhaps the questions are answered, and all that people need to do is get in touch with via our business directory. We do have a kind of a question from James this morning. Seriously though, if you do have a question about visas, about CEF, about anything to do with coming to Portugal, ask Gilda, or go off piste a little bit. You know, she is one of our Portuguese BFFs, so she'll be able to tell us about the culture as well while she's here. And don't forget to recommend any films that she should watch as well. Next weekend, we've had the Godfather, we've had the Karate Kid, and we're going to make a suggestion, I think, for Gilda and family for next weekend. Now, where's this comment from James? He sent in this picture. He thinks, is this what the A clientele look like? There is a cat on the windowsill. Thanks to Gary Larson for this. It takes a little bit of working out. It did for me anyway. So there's a lorry crash outside, trucks, as you would call them in America. And the rodent truck full of rats and mice has collided with the small flightless bird truck. It's a pretty specialist cartoon, this has to be said. So there are rodents and there are birds everywhere. And the cat wants to get to them, but is held back by a pane of glass. Is that what I think this is what the expats might feel like. Is that how you see them? They're desperate to get here and they're just being held back by a window.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, James, that didn't work, my friend. We get the analogy of pent up desire to be here in Portugal, but not ringing a bell for Gilda this morning. Okay.
No, because you have open the window for you.
Well, that's the analogy, isn't it? You are the window opener, aren't you?
Yeah.
Are the window opener, and just stay clear of Wiener Dog. What's this? I think this is a reference to Mandela. How is Mandela? Barking like a Rottweiler last week. How is he this week?
He's quiet for now.
Clearly. Let's just keep our voices down then. A question for you from Suze. If seeking employment in Portugal, is it the company that makes the application for a work permit, or the employee, or both? This is a very good question. We don't talk much about coming to Portugal to work on a work permit. Please, can you furnish that a little bit for us there, Gilda?
Yeah. So, Suze, it's both, okay? You make the application in the consulate, but the company needs to provide you the work contract and an invitation letter for you to show to the consulate.
Right. Okay. So you initiate.
Yeah, you initiate the process with the consulate, and you need to ask the documents to the company.
Okay, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because this often is going to be a short time scale in today's working world. People get contracts very quickly and need to move very quickly. How long is this sort of process taking in Portugal?
It depends. If it is a work contract, 60 days.
Okay.
If it is a highly qualified work contract with a company certified by YAPME as a tech visa company, 30 days.
Okay, so that's pretty good, isn't it? That's a fast turnaround, but that makes sense, doesn't it? You want to get people coming over to work, don't you? And contributing to the GDP. Fantastic. Loads of comments, lots of chat. We'll come back to the earlier stuff later on after we've said goodbye to Gilda, but she's here with us to answer these questions that are now coming in. Thank you. We just needed a little bit of a gentle encouragement this morning. No longer watching Woody Allen films. Well done. We'll come back to that later on. And we have some clarification required for Paul Harrison. Morning, Paul. Hi to you both. Hello, Paul. You answered my question last week that I would like to clarify. We have driven from the Eurotunnel, UK via France, Spain, etc., not on a visa, but on a 90-day restriction. Emergency dental. This was Paul, wasn't it, with the emergency dental work? Emergency dental treatment means we need more time. Does March 31st apply? If not, what options do we have? There you go, Gilda.
Yes, March 31st apply. If not, most likely on March 31st, you are able to make an appointment for an extension. If you are not able to make an appointment for an extension, this means that they have to automatically postpone this date of 31st of March.
Okay. And this must be an absolute nightmare for the border force, either on the physical land borders or the airport. When they see people's passports and they've clearly been here longer than 90 days, do they even bother to go into the backstory? Because they'll be there all day with everybody, wouldn't they? Why are you here more than 90 days? Well, it started like this. Let me have a chair and sit, they sit down. And I first came over and then I tried to speak to Seth and then the dental thing happened. And then, I tried to bring him again. And then presumably the border people just say, it's okay, you can go. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. But just don't come back for another 90 days. And how joined up is that? I wanted to ask you this because all of these things are dawning on us now for the UK people. So for them, they can have 90 days at a time within any 6-month period. The Schengen border force, is that a very well joined up system? So presumably, if you're a UK person and you've been here for 90 days in Portugal, you couldn't go to France until the 6 months were up, could you? And would the French is that whole system very well joined up and very efficient for tracking that?
It should be, but from my experience, it isn't that.
No, because it just comes down to individuals, doesn't it? Sat there all day long, thinking, "Do I want to have a half-hour conversation with this 70-year-old couple who do not look like drug smugglers at all? They just look like they need a little bit of sun on their bones." I don't think I'm going to argue with them about that 3-day infringement on their 90 days in the 6 months. What a mess! What a mess! But sounds like it's could work in your favor. But trouble is, it's not clear. It's not entirely clear, is it? And probably won't be for a little while yet. Bon dia, Gilda from Moaz. We all love you here. And we go to Virginia Larson for another question now. Question for Gilda. Should I apply for the D7 visa while living in California? Good morning to you, Virginia, by the way. Or wait until I move to Texas? And that's another great question, where I'll be for 4 to 6 months before moving to Portugal. So tactical decision. Which would be more favorable in the process, Texas or California? What do you think? Final answer. Do you want to phone a friend? We can do this like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in Portugal? So is it A, Texas, or is it B, California?
I think Texas.
Final answer?
Texas.
Texas it is. Okay, so Texas, Virginia. What can I ask why you say that, Gilda?
Because if she moves, it might complicate the process. And if she's going to be in Texas, it's going to be easier for her to get the visa at her last address.
Okay, so that's the key thing here. That's what your answer's based on, is that they're looking for a kind of stability, and your last address would be most.
Yes.
This is nothing to do with consulates then. This is to do with how secure you look and how efficient the process might be by applying from your last address.
And the consulates, I guess that Texas is Washington, D.C.
Well, let's check with other Texans then. We'll come back to that, Virginia. Let's see Let's get a bit of help from that, from the hive mind, actually, from those who've been through the process. But yes, if you're a Texan, did you use a DC there? Let us know. I don't like going back to our politics. Then I don't like Rui Rio. There's something shifty about him.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a word you recognise, Gilda? Shifty?
No.
But you totally get what it means. I think.
Yeah. In the middle of the sentence. Yes, Texas. It's I would guess that it's the DC consulate. So I would definitely go from Texas, from the reason that I said, and also from the consulate.
There you go. So immediate help from the community and from Gilda this morning for you, Virginia. Yeah, can answer your question. Apply from Texas and go through the DC consulate there. Excellent. And somebody talking about, Rosemary, yeah. Thanks for this, Rosemary. Texas would mean less taxes paid in the state as well versus California. There's another reason to do it from Texas. And
I also have an important update to make.
Go ahead.
The consulates don't accept anymore promissory rental agreements in Portugal.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can't. Why was that? Was that being abused?
Yes.
I thought so. I guess it's an easy one to abuse. What? So the days of he's my mate and he's happy, he's fine to stay with me for the next 12 months, and that doesn't stick anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So leaving either a 12-month lease on a place, not an Airbnb, but a 12-month lease, or you actually own your own house and you can prove that. Are those the only two options now? Okay.
Yes, or a promissory buying agreement.
So you don't own it yet, but you're clearly in the process of owning a property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. If little questions, maybe there is some time to sum up again, step by step, the process. That's not a little question, M Finance, but it's a good one. The process for the NHR. Could you give us a little bit of a potted version of the NHR for us this morning, please, Gilda?
A step by step.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
This was supposed to be for another session.
All right. Well, should we do that? Should we schedule it? Should we do a special? I think that's probably a good idea, actually. Should we prepare slides and all sorts and go through
slides? No, it's too much
I'll do the slides if you talk. Yeah.
Maybe there is sometimes.
But
we can do it, but
we'll
not
go into
today.
more detail. But the basics, right? The basics of if somebody's never heard of the NHR, why would somebody want to do it moving to Portugal?
Okay, the NHR, it's a program, it's a tax program that has some benefits for someone that it's moving abroad to Portugal, and those benefits are for 10 years, and they are some examples. If you have some income out of Portugal, that income is going to be not taxed in Portugal for 10 years, as long as it is taxed in your home country or the country where you have that income, and it's not considered a tax haven country. And this is something that people are very confused about, because they think that it's not taxed at all, but it is taxed at the home country.
Yes, so it's not tax evasion; it is tax efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, it's about the pensions. The pensions are taxed 10%, but it's not all the pensions. It's only the private pensions. The public it depends on the country and on the double tax agreements.
Okay.
For instance, from United States, they are only tax the private pensions. The public pensions, there are no taxation. And my advice is, when you come to Portugal, you need to find a very good accountant that speaks English and that knows and it's very aware of these conditions.
Yeah,
And it's not easy to find one.
it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you can only apply for the NHR once you already have a rental agreement or your resident permit.
Yes. Now that's what people get their knickers in a twist about, isn't it? Is when to apply, and they don't want to lose out on that benefit. So you apply after you've got here, but you've got to make sure you haven't made yourself a tax resident before then. There was that really scary moment, wasn't there, when I think on one of our more closed session calls that we did with our premium plus people, where if their NIF had shown them being a tax resident before they moved here, that might undermine their NHR status, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so loads of people suddenly opened up all their PDFs to see if they had a foreigner's NIF or a Portuguese NIF, and you want to be making sure you've got a foreigner's one if you're getting one in the first place, right?
Correct.
Yes, and that's so that because could make a big deal of difference, and that certainly stuck in my mind, seeing all those shocked faces and people hastily looking at their NIF numbers. The other part of it, of course, is it does apply for Portuguese people. It's not just for foreigners, is it? It's for anybody who's been out of Portugal for over 5 years, and they can
Exactly.
get the benefit. So Portuguese people are returning to Portugal and getting that benefit as well, which I think is quite an amazing thing and worthy of mention. But of course, we will have more detailed webinars on this, and we do have them. They are on our collection of YouTube videos, M Finance. I hope that was helpful this morning. And if you've got anything more specific that we didn't cover there in that little sort of potted version of it, do let us know. Okay, brilliant. Rod Scott, my wife and I are retiring to Portugal from the UK. She has dual nationality with an Irish passport. Is it right that after 3 months she can get a residency permit and I will be given one as her husband?
She doesn't need to wait 3 months. She can do it straight away. And yes, you can ask for a resident permit as a family reunion with a European citizen.
Perfect. So there you go. Yes is the short answer then, Rod, with your lovely picture there. And of course, I think that the why that 3 months deadline is coming up is because you have to register, don't you, if you're a Schengen national and you're staying for longer than 3 months, but you can register before voluntarily. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Gilda, can I open a bank account and get a NIF whilst I visit Portugal doing a recce, even before I apply for a visa?
You should. The first step to apply for the visa is to get the NIF and open a bank account in Portugal.
There you go, big boy crypto pants, part of the crypto army moving to Portugal. And in the news there, you'll have seen earlier on, crypto shops opening up here in Portugal too, or Bitcoin shops. You might want to consider where the nearest VFS is located. That's James to Virginia. More clues and pointers coming in for you, Virginia. You will need to physically show up for an appointment at some point. Bear that in mind. Oh, and the talk of the wiener dogs. Oh, is the movie. So that may be from Wiener Dog the movie. Well, yeah, be careful searching for that, everybody. Applicants from Texas are not required to visit the VFS office in DC. Okay, thank you for that, Rosemary. And James, adding to this, I understand it, there are only 3 in the US, New York, DC, and San Francisco. Is that right? Are there only 3 consulates anyway?
No, in
New Jersey
Newark.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are so many Portuguese people there. Can I work as an independent voice actor? This is Jim O'Connor, the voice actor, while staying there on a visa, just working out of my apartment. So what's the question here? Can I work? I don't think it matters what you're working as particularly while staying there on a visa. It depends on the visa. Well, Jim can go about his professional work, can't he? He's not barred from working whilst here on a visa, but then we don't know what visa that is, do we?
I think that he's saying on a visa just working out of my apartment. I don't think he has a resident visa. That's what he means.
Yeah, okay. But that sounds to me like a nomad. That sounds like somebody
Yeah.
who might benefit from the digital nomad type working visa. Give Gilda and team a ring, Jim, on that, and I will put the details in later on. But we need to know what your concern is there. What's behind your question? Is it the type of work? Is it whether you can work from an apartment, or whether what visas you're allowed to work with or on, as it were? And from Cindy, James, a DC consulate doesn't require a visit. I did everything without ever going to DC. So there you go. Very helpful from the people who've done it this morning. Gilda, how understanding are SEF if you have elderly parents in another country that you have to look after on a regular basis? So you have to come and go, breaking the 183-day rule.
You should have the proof about your parents, especially if they have any kind of disease, or if they need to go to the doctor, and prove that you need to go, and that your situation is not sorted out yet, because the city hall and SEF has not sorted out your residence. That is the problem. And I don't think you have any problems, because they know that the problem is on them.
Okay. There's an interpretation of the situation for you there, Chris. Good luck with that. Gilda, this may sound a silly question. If I get a visa and then a job, am I tax-free for the first 5 years, or am I missing something? Is this NHR as well? Like I said before, it's not about tax evasion, it's about tax efficiency, isn't it? That's the attractiveness of the NHR. So it would be for the first 10 years, wouldn't it? Not the first 5 years. But you have to pay tax somewhere on this.
First of all, yes, you need to pay taxes somewhere on this, and it's for 10 years. If you pay it somewhere, I don't know, you will have to pay the tax rate that they apply somewhere else. And if you pay in Portugal, it has to be the tax rate you are going to pay in Portugal, but that tax rate can be reduced until 20% if it's considered a highly qualified job.
Okay.
And there is a list for that.
And this comes back to getting a decent accountant, as you said, and it's not an easy thing to do. And the reason it's not easy, and we've discovered, is because you need somebody who has knowledge of how the Portuguese system works, as well as the taxation system in the country of your origin. And that's a specialist person. We're working on it. We're trying to find the best professionals for you to do that. We've also initiated a work party focus group committee, if you like, of people who are actually going through this process on our Premium Plus program. Okay, so sign up for that if you want to get that level of assistance. The premium membership for Expats Portugal. You know, we pride ourselves on knowledge and community. Those are the two key words for Expats Portugal. If you want knowledge, become a premium member. You get access to what you need to know, in our view, and we get you some great discounts on working with some of the best people in the business, like you see on the screen in front of you this morning, Gilda. But if you want the community aspect and you want to be working alongside other people on that journey, become a Premium Plus member as well. And that's where we're really doing some interesting work on finding tax people, CPAs, accountants, tax advisors, wealth management people who understand it from both sides of the picture. And we're talking about a very subjective area. We're talking about a very complex area. And of course, when it comes to money, we're talking about a very emotive subject as well. So you do have to give that more than a second thought. And we're here to help you with that. From Rosemary to the Big Boy Crypto. Yes, get a NIF, health insurance and a bank account while you're on your tourist visa. We did it May of 21. Thanks for all your help this morning, Rosemary. And thanks for everybody chipping in, helping each other this morning. It's what we're all about here, isn't it? From James to Cindy B. Obrigado. Great to know the San Francisco office told me everyone in their jurisdiction, Hawaii, Alaska, would need to appear for their appointment. So it sounds like San Francisco are a bit stricter. Thanks. I don't need someone local as a representative for the NIF, like receiving letters, etc. Okay, fair enough. Gilda, if a UK national has Portuguese residency and they want to visit another EU country, does this mean that their passport is stamped? For example, visiting Spain.
I would say that now that you are not part of the Schengen, yes.
Yeah, that's the theory, isn't it? And certainly that's how the law should be working. Whether or not they will actually stamp it, it remains to be seen. And you know, as many people here know, you can drive between Portugal and Spain and never see anybody. Can't you? Drive past a closed building where there might be a checkpoint from time to time. So it may or may not happen, but strictly speaking, it should happen with the way that things are now, with the UK as a third country in relation to Schengen. From Cindy to James, the San Francisco consulate does require that, and I think New York as well. And Virginia, grateful for the responses from Gilda, Cindy B, James, and Rosemary. A real team effort this morning. That's fantastic. Texas, because she has to have the current address right. So yes, a lot of great help and some good answers coming from everybody this morning. Texas is the no state income state. No state income tax state. People will establish a favorable state income tax situation before leaving the US. So it sounds like a jumping off point. Texas is favorable in that regard. Hi, not quite 70, but I get the analogy. Yes, sorry, Paul, that wasn't aimed at you. Forgive me. That was just looking for the kindness of strangers at border points. But yes, none meant and none taken, I hope. Could this overstay affect our D7 visa application in future? That another great question from Paul. If it's seen that there is some sort of technicality that hasn't been followed, will that affect your D7 applications in the future? Do they keep files on these things, Gilda?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay,
before.
Good to know. There you
And
go, Paul.
I had these problems before, that people that overstayed, but it never had implications on the visa in the future.
Great. Fantastic. Texas uses the DC embassy and accept applications by mail. Thank you, Thunder, for that. Question for Gilda from Moaz. I know you can't buy an apartment in Lisbon to get the golden visa, but can he do the investment fund for the golden visa and then rent an apartment in Lisbon? I would say yes to that, right? You could take the investment fund approach instead of investing in property for the golden visa, and then still live in Lisbon, live where you want if you're in the investment fund approach, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so live where you like. There is that method. That is not an investment in property, but it is an investment in investment, and then choose where you want to live thereafter. You're not restricted. It's only restriction on where you're buying that's changing, or has changed. Michael from our community. So glad to have worked with you, Michael, and so glad to hear from you this morning. I received our D7 visas last week. Many thanks to Gilda, Marianne, and team. Looking forward to the move in March. Great news. Thank you, Gilda. We love you. We do. We really love you. We thank you for all your help. Monday mornings are so valuable. Thanks to you and the GMP team. You're great. And Moaz, the Portuguese Liberal Party isn't liberal in the US sense. It's a right-wing libertarian party. Okay. And Gilda, I have my CEF appointment tomorrow. Does the new visa accommodation rule apply to me now? I have an attestado from Ericera signed, stamped, and registered last Thursday. Quick one there.
No, it's fine. It's fine, James. It applies to the visa.
Yes. Yes.
And
James,
good luck for tomorrow.
Right. Good luck for tomorrow. One of those white knuckle moments there for James. Easy. It's going to be fine. And let us know. We're with you. We're with you all the way there, James. Looking forward to hearing how you got on. And is this going to create a problem for my CEF appointment? No, we're good. We're good. And look at this. Here's James. And you might recognize some of these other gumpers here. These lovely, lovely pictures that I'm just about to bring to your screen, if my technology will allow me to do that. Hold on. I just need another click. And you'll see these lovely. Come on, mouse, help me out here. Right, here we go. These wonderful. How many of these people do you recognize? Oh no, I've exceeded my upload limit. Oh dear, so many pictures coming in. That's part of the reason why. Let me see now. I'm only going to be able to do one of these, James, for the time being. Probably the one without your finger in it, trying to press the shutter on your mobile phone. There we go. Look at this lot. Wow. Oh, let me just take off the comment as well there.
This is Connie and Hank.
Yeah, isn't that fantastic? Thank you so much for this picture. The Doc is there, Doc and Leona, Connie and Hank with James. And a bit of a gathering there. Fantastic. Thanks for all those lovely photos. So lovely to see you Gumpers in one place together there. The Doc, of course, on the right there. Our medical man, ex-GP from the UK, who joins us on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month, answering medical questions. Superb. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it, James. And good luck tomorrow. Wasn't that lovely, Gilda, to see those folks? We didn't know any of them, did we, a year ago? And now we know and love all of them. It's amazing. Okay. Let's see then. You need to go, don't you? It's always like this. I'm thinking to myself at past, no one's asking anything. What's going on here? We've answered all the questions forever, and then suddenly there's a surge of questions that come in just when Gilda needs to go. Jim's in California and will be bringing my microphone, preamp, and computer with me. Oh, we could have some fun together there, Jim. We could record a radio play together. But still not sure what your concern is, but I don't see a problem with that. But give Gilda and team a call just to make sure everything's cool in that department and allay your fears. Hi, Gilda. Australia has no double taxation agreement with Portugal. Would the NHR be used instead, would you say?
Yes.
So go for NHR instead there. Thank you for that. Thank you for the info. I really know nothing about Portuguese politics, but I'm planning to educate myself about these issues. And we will do our best this week. In case you didn't see it, I have done this little contribution towards it. There's the runners and riders, everybody. I hope that is in some way helpful. And that's up on our... Well, I'll stick it in the show notes. Go to goodmorningportugal.com afterwards if you want that. And we'll continue talking about the election because it happens next Sunday, the 30th of January. Last few comments then before Gilda has to go. Good morning, everyone. Special good morning to Gilda. All right, none taken. Why special for you and not me, do you think there, Gilda? Okay, I'm not going to draw...
Because I'm the star on Monday.
Yeah, okay. It's true. Hi, Gilda. Is there a window of time between having your residency and applying for the NHR? Okay, so the all-important time limit. Apply for it when you're here, when you've got here. But how long have you got?
Okay, when you change your this is a good question. When you change your residency to Portugal, you have until the 31st of March to do it.
In any year?
Until the next 31st of March to do it.
So if you arrive on the 30th of March, have you got a day to do it?
No, if you arrive on the 30th of March, you have to change your dress after that, of course. Okay. So you can do it until you have 1 year to do it.
Okay, all right. So you've got to do it, and it's got to be done by the 31st of March.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Eusebio, another celebration here. And who's that in the picture? Oh, finally got my bank account from CTT on Friday. Oh, very local going with CTT there. A branch in every post office, which is quite handy. But they don't do business accounts, I discovered. Oh, Gilda, don't watch.
I thought it was very bureaucratic with the CTT.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So there you go. But he's done it. He's gone and done it. He may have faced those slings and arrows of bureaucracy.
Give me some feedback.
Give me some feedback. Come on, Prof. How did it go? Don't watch the Wiener Dog movie with the kids. That's going to everyone's going to be in tears after that by the sound of it. Any other recommendations, anybody? And it was the type of work that Jim was concerned about. So he's going to be on a 90-day visitor visa.
Yeah.
He is a voiceover actor. Is it going to be forbidden for him carrying on his work? I don't think there's going to be a problem there. Do you, Gilda? Carry on working at home, no problem.
Yeah, if it's working on home, it's not a problem. And if it's not going to be paid in Portugal, no one is going to know.
There you go. And what is better for software developer, remote worker, digital nomad, having a D7 or an independent worker, D2? This is a great question as well from Anan Suleiman. Good morning to you. What do you say, D7, D2?
This is a classical question.
Yes.
And on my on my interviews, I always try to make questions to see what's better in this kind of situations.
Yeah.
So it depends. If the person has a certain level of savings, and if the salary is very high, I would say go for a D7,
Okay.
because it's more secure. If the person doesn't have much savings, um, it should go for a D2, but then it has to prove all the contracts and all the pay slips, that all the contracts and invoices, everything
Yeah.
that he receives as an income. It's a little bit more bureaucratic.
Okay. Okay. But it's better if you don't have a load of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the working person's visa, isn't it, compared to the more retired pension-based visa? But
Yes.
that said, you can still work. You don't have to be retired, and you're not forbidden from working if you have a D7 visa. Great question,
Exactly.
Anand. Thank you. And I think it's in the detail, really, isn't it? It's worth having a chat with Gilda and team. Thank you, Gilda from M Finance. Yes, please set a special episode on the NHR. We always do. We always return to it, and we will have a Thursday night webinar on it. So it won't be on the morning show. I mean, that's part of the problem. The context is not ideal, but the webinar is perfect for discussing the NHR, and we will do that. And the OLP is in favor of that as well. NHR special episode would be awesome, so we'll do that. And Brian, if you want someone to talk about coming to Portugal with Bitcoin crypto, try reaching out to Crypto Tips. Toby and Heidi, Toby Cunningham, also big wave surfer at Nazaré. Sounds like a very cool person. And Gilda is, you're getting thanks there. Do excuse me. Thank you for taking my question from Virginia. Yeah, I think a lot of people came to your assistance this morning. I became a member of your Expats Portugal, and I really benefited a lot from your forum. Thanks, Moaz, for telling us that. Rosemary celebration. We successfully got passed out of our SEF appointment last Monday in Lisbon. Well done. Okay, I think we better let you go to work, hadn't we, Gilda? Not that this isn't work, of course.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, you'd be happy to sit here
I'm
chatting.
having a nice time.
I see. Okay. Stay with us till 10 then. When third countries travel in the Schengen countries, third world or third countries, other countries, your passports get stamped in the first country you enter, and it won't get stamped until you leave the last country in the Schengen zone. Thank you for that, Moaz. And that, I think we're going to put UK in that third world status there in that regard. It's not a group of gumpers, it's a riot. Thank you very much for that correction. You're quite right, or you're quite riot. What's going on with the Idealista? The pictures look real, but have a good look. And they are like computer renders. Yes, SW. Sometimes real estate pictures in Portugal aren't that brilliant. Well, should we leave it at that, Gilda? Go look, or go have someone look for you like Casa Portuguesa.
That's true. Sometimes they are not as good as it seems.
Not as it seems, including that fantastic picture that I've got to find of the body on the balcony. I've got a classic picture. I will find it for you, Gilda. I'll send it to you after the show. But I think it is an Idealista picture, and there is actually there's somebody in or sunbathing on the balcony on an actual real estate photo. Believe me, I have seen it with my own eyes, and you will soon after the show. So Paul Harrison recommends Millennium or Agricola. And DC, says Joy D, VFS does not require actual in person if you live more than 150 miles away in one of the covered states. Thank you for that. This is really helpful info. Midnight in Paris is a great movie for you. There you go, Gilda. Not necessarily for the kids, but maybe one for you and hubby to look at. Midnight in Paris sounds a bit saucy to me. It depends. My favorite, it depends. My favorite most used phrase in Portugal. It's true. Gilda, what is it depends in Portuguese, please?
Really, we say that a lot.
You do. You do. You really do. But what is it in Portuguese? How do we say that?
It depends.
I know how to say it in English. How do you say it in Portuguese?
Depends.
Oh, it depends what you're trying to say as to how you say it in Portuguese. That's funnier than I originally realized. So you can't tell me how to say it depends in Portuguese because it depends on what you're trying to say when you're saying it.
Yes.
Okay, CCT was very straightforward for non-residents, just proof of income and ID on Friday. When I tried in September, their system was crashing, so we didn't get it done. Okay, so not too bad for CTT. Susanna in Quinta do Con branch is now my friend. That's what you need. Please, if you want to open a CTT branch, go to Quinta do Conde, go in and say, my friend Eusebio recommended you. Can I speak to Susanna, please? And that will really help. But then again, it does depend. Find a quiet branch. Correios is closer, but always busy in Portuguese. But you can translate it. Just pick a theme, and it will the comparison with all parties involved with parliamentary representation. I'm not sure what that's connected to, Antonio F. But have we got a link there for Portuguese politics? Millennium, great app on the phone, and depende. Simply. It's just not that simple, Elra. Come on, let's face it. I'm intrigued with Portuguese politics in comparison with Australia. That has become increasingly disinterested in poverty and low income. Yes, indeed. Yeah, some of those things that you might think were quite important in politics, like poverty and low income, but tends to focus, doesn't it, as I said earlier on the growth. On the growth. Gilda, 1 minute past 10. Great job today and great fun. As always, we'll see you again next Monday, right?
See you next Monday.
With news of whatever film you've been watching. And we'll see you out with a little video here. I might come back and do a few more comments that I missed earlier on and show you the pics of people from the past. But I've got a little video for you to watch now, Gilda, as you leave us. And this is, I haven't loaded it yet. Let me just load it up onto me into the right place. This is what can happen in the... sorry, I've got to delete some stuff first. Crazy. Thank you, everybody, for all the lovely things you send in to me, but it causes this sort of a little hold up for a moment. But we're there now. We're just uploading a fantastic video. Do not proudly video your lunch in the Algarve and then hold it out on the balcony. You're about to find out why after this incredible video is uploaded, which is from Victoria, who I have to say wants to share with you this wonderful message. Bon dia, Carl. Many thanks again to the GMP folks, the Gumpers, for rallying to my aid last week. Can you please share a good PayPal or Venmo account to send the euros to the GMP community? Frank brought the 100 euros to me on Friday. So we came in to Victoria's aid last Friday after that incident. And what she wants to do is give it back. And it looks like we'll start an expats emergency and benevolent fund for anyone who, God forbid, might find themselves in a similar position. So thank you, Victoria, for that. And thank you for your thanks. And thanks to all the Gumpers who stepped up and into Victoria's aid last week. Here she is in a different context, showing her lunch to all the world, so to speak. And this is what can happen in the Algarve. Gilda, thank you very much. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next.
So I came out here to take a picture of my plate, put my plate down, went to get my camera, and it got attacked by a seagull. And he's making the rounds. Here it comes again. Watch. Here he comes. Trying to be nonchalant. There he is. Here he comes. Whoa!
Don't proudly waft your lunch around in the Algarve. Gilda, see you next week. Ciao, ciao. There she goes. Fantastic. And we'll come back to a few of your comments. Actually, what we were showing you before was this picture of a Gumper of our community. I don't think we've had any guesses yet, or we've just had too many comments and I've not seen them. This is one of our Gumpers with Tony Hopkins. And here she is again with the late Robert Altman, director. Oh, it's a bit of a clue on the screen. I'm going to take that off quick. But there she is, hobnobbing it with more movie royalty there. Amazing. Who was that? Who is this with Anthony Hopkins? Who is this with an astronaut whose name I'll give you in just a moment? Who is this from our community? Looking like what's from the Kingpin movie on the left there, a Gumper from our community. I'll tell you who he is with. We'll carry these forward because I think they're great fun. Oh, whilst I'm here, Francis is in, can't communicate, but wanted me to say good morning to you from Cape Town this morning, watching from a TV with no chat functionality, so won't be able to communicate. Have a great show. And he watches mostly on his laptop, picture in picture whilst working, until I have a second monitor. Bless you, Francis, for your commitment. That Gumper there then is with Charlie Duke, the lunar module pilot on Apollo 16, the 10th man to walk on the moon, is the one on the right. Isn't this fantastic? So that's Charlie Duke on the right. This is our Gumper with Charlie Duke. And there's Charlie Duke without our Gumper up there. playing golf on the moon or driving the lunar buggy around. Anyway, 10th man on the moon, Charlie Duke with our Gumper. Who is it? On the right there and on the left here. Looking like also an extra from Kingpin, the movie, which I must watch again. Strange thing about Kingpin is it's anti-hero. It's somewhat let down of a lead. Woody Harrelson is called Munson, isn't he? And I think Munson is an insult in the United States. And is that when everyone just giggles already when they start watching the Good Morning Portugal live stream with me, Carl Munson? Yep, seagulls are always trying to get something, even cats or pigeons. Oh, my goodness. That'd be a terrible sight, wouldn't it? Seeing a kitten being carried across the Algarve skyline by a seagull. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that in your head. NHR versus D7 residency day spent in Portugal. Same number or different? Oh, we missed that, Joy. Come back again next Monday, please. And let's see what else we've missed this morning. Marty's here. Good morning, Gilda and Carl. Shawshank Redemption and The Sting are great films. I saw Midnight in Paris last week and it was pleasing, but not a classic. Fun, though. Oh, yeah, Shawshank. That's not for the kids, is it? Andy Dufresne. I wonder if Jim O'Connor can do a nice, what's it called? Morgan Freeman. Andy Dufresne. Okay, the moon landing was a good movie. Oh, Sam, don't start. Oh, my goodness. And you know what? Me and the person in that picture are going to start doing a podcast together soon. And we will talk about this, the moon landing movie, because I'm sure my co-host on the new podcast will have something to say about that. I'm scrolling back. They see me scrolling. They hating. Right, now let's have a look if we can get all the way back to those earlier comments before Gilda joined us, because I think there's some gold in there. Bon dia, Carl from Mommy's Boo Media. How was your weekend? Hope no playground disaster this time. No, fast asleep in the front garden. And the documentary evidence of that is circulating on the internet. Moaz, when I get to my Portuguese citizenship, I'll vote for the liberal parties like the American Democrat Party because issues such as LGBT rights, abortion, people with disabilities, minorities, etc. But as I think you will, you need to probably look a little bit deeper into the Liberal Party here. The words liberal and communist, for example, have very different meanings to the meanings Americans would have, I think. So check that out before you put your cross in the box there. I love a lot of teams. James says, OLP, my Seahawks didn't have a very good year, but we have been in the playoffs every year except this one since Russell Wilson has been. I know that means quarterback, right? So can't complain. Tight end, isn't that another position as well? Who doesn't like a tight end in the morning? And I've taken to hitting the like button before the show begins. Good on you, Suze. We talked, didn't we, earlier on about some, last weekend, this just weekend gone in Portuguese history. But here's another. Thank you for this. Number 2 from the prof. 1961, exactly 14 years to the day after his report is read, the Santa Maria is hijacked by Enrique Galvão. Okay, thank you for that, prof. Kareem was here as well, still is, I hope. Kareem Kajani, good morning, everyone. And sounds like you had a lot of fun at James with all those great folks, and you saw the pictures there. The Santa Maria Portuguese passenger ship was hijacked by Portuguese and political rebels, Portuguese and Spanish political rebels, aiming to force political change in Portugal. Amazing, eh? In my youth, I used to be active in Arizona politics, fighting for these issues. I also went on demonstrations for the MLK holiday in Arizona when it was rejected by the state. Can you imagine? The chief architect, the action's chief architect and leader was Portuguese military officer, writer, and politician Enrique Galvão, who had been exiled in Caracas, Venezuela, since 1959. So that's quite amazing, isn't it? Over the weekend, the anniversary of the hijacking of the Santa Maria. Quite incredible. Has anyone read Life of Pi? Enjoyed the movie, for sure. And I plan to visit the Bitcoin store in Lisbon today. Very timely. In your best marching tune. Like. Oh, that sounds a bit like a military rally, doesn't it? Whoop, whoop, crypto in the news. In the UK, they don't even talk about it. Why is that? Surely at the BBC, with its open mind and sense of fair play, it would be on there. Joking, everybody. Bon dia, watching on the phone. Oh, this is how people are watching the show this morning. Did my early comments and quotes of the day disappear? I still see them. Did I get to those? I may well have done. It's been a bit disjointed this morning as far as the comments go, as you can see right now. Last weekend in Portuguese history, number 3, decreed law, and the Portuguese love a decreed law with a number like this, number 130-A/2001 decriminalizes drug possession. And the envy of the world, I think, a very progressive policy with medical interventions to go alongside it, which for a long time was seen as the gold standard, I think, around the world in terms of rehabilitation and criminalization of drugs, or decriminalization in this instance. I watched the show on my TV, and I have to use my laptop to comment. I see. Okay, it's all making sense now. Wealth Creation Academy here. Bon dia to you all. It's been a while. It has. Where you been? WCA and Deborah Davis. Hi, finally leaving UK tomorrow. Back to PT. I think I hear a little bit of relief there. Bon dia, Carl. The earlier greeting from Michelle and everyone from the far north of Queensland. Honestly, what is going on over there? Carl, I can't remember, but good morning to you, Michelle. Great to have you here. Carl, I can't remember some names. I'm over 50. I Googled People's Front of Judea, the PFJ. Okay. And there was another name like it, the Judea's People Front, and they all sounded the same. Absolutely. An excellent, what's it called? Parody of politics going way back with Life of Brian there. I also what have the Romans ever done for us? I also traveled to Washington, D.C. and participated in the 1 million march to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And we got in a yelling match with Christian rights groups. Now I'm too old for that kind of malarkey. I think Moaz is saying there. My money's on Sue's. Good guess. Sue, says Rosemary Baker. You're absolutely right. Sue's in the picture. Well done, everybody. And Louise was here earlier. Happy Monday. My voice is going. Listening to just about to walk the dog and listen on the way. Unfortunately, means no chat. Let me just cough, but without doing it in your ear. And a sip of water. There you go. Yeah, all this talking, honestly. Definitely she of the Standing O fame. The legend, the Standing O legend, Suze, is, of course, the woman in the picture. And there she is with Anthony Hopkins. He is Sir Anthony Hopkins, isn't he? And there later with Robert Altman. With the astronaut, we'll come back to that. Well, let's carry that one forward for tomorrow. And do get those pictures in. 913-590-303. But that's fantastic, Suze. Thank you for sharing that with us. Any pics you have of yourself where we might not guess who you are? A little bit of fun. So Gumpers from way back, the Gumper time machine. Send a picture in of yourself with a celeb or not, or just doing something interesting or unusual. Keep it family oriented at this time of the day. But that's going to be some great fun, I think. 913-590-303. And thank you, Suze, for sending those pictures in of you of Anthony Hopkins and Robert Altman with you. Bon dia, gente, from Ubi Hominum. And who else? Yeah, Antonio was in earlier on. Sorry I didn't catch you earlier. This is interesting from Suze. The lady we were just talking about, excuse me, Donald Sutherland, Canadian. Baseball game invented in Canada, as was basketball. Just keeping it real there. Have a, what does this say? Have a Super Bowl party. It is on Sunday, February 13th in America. So should we do something for that, everybody? Pam also here. Bon dia. I was gutted. I've been a Packers fan since 1982, and I thought after that first drive, it was definitely going to be a Packers win. Stupid punter! And long working light bulb invented by Canadians who sold their patent to Edison for $8,000. The fools! But it seemed to be a lot of money at the time. I'm sure it was. Gilda, don't bother with Godfather 3. It's the Fredo of the trilogy. I think you're not alone in your analysis there, Prof. Thanks for the history comments to you, Eusebio. Good to gain knowledge without actually having to study it. Yes, he does the hard work for us, and we're very grateful. Hi, Gilda. What area do you think the Silver Coast covers? Seems to be a difference of opinion when it comes. I didn't get to ask her that, but I might send her that along with the body on the balcony picture. I agree, demonstrations are not enough. And the other side was much better organized than us. They spent the night stuffing envelopes, registering voters, etc., says Moaz there. And that's probably referring to a comment that's long lost in the long grass here. Everyone works everything in Portugal. Bosses don't appreciate specializations, means they can't exploit you properly. Elra's famous now and scathing insights into the work practices of Portugal. And yeah, watch Midnight in Paris with actor Owen Wilson is the recommendation. More for adults, rated 13 there. I think we're going to leave it there today. We have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? And Gilda was amazing. Oh, actually, I need to make sure you've got her contact details. Let me put those into the chat right now. Migration Consulting. That's where you find her in our directory. And of course, if you're a premium member, you'll get a discount on those services. There it is, into the comments right now for you. Yeah, just give them a ring and have a chat with Christina, probably with your first port of call and first meeting with the wonderful folks at A, or EI as we call them, modern basketball. In the Aztec version. Oh, yeah, okay, so clarification. The Canadians invented modern basketball. In the Aztec version, the game ended with death. Yes, okay, and that was a point of order brought about by Thunderduck there. It's a slightly different game these days then, thank goodness. Love me some Oregon, spent many great years in Willamette Valley there. So people chatting about the old days in the United States. Erotic novel entry. When he wrapped his arms around her, she received a standing O. That's where we're going to leave it today with that image. Oh, no, we're not, because we're going to say thank you to a YouTube member. I haven't had a chance to thank you directly, Mac007. Happy Beautiful Monday. Have missed a lot of shows, but back onto it. And I thank you for your membership subscription, Mac007 over there, preferring to subscribe on the YouTube channel. Really appreciate that. sapo.pt/noticias/actualidad/artigos/vamos a votos. There is a link, everybody, for a little bit more insight and background on the politics, I believe. Thank you very much for that. I can't cut and paste these things. Antonio F., are we on WhatsApp together? Can you send that to me, please? And what town, finally, then? What town do you live in? Got to leave it. No, I haven't. Look, because Doug, we haven't said hello to Dougie. Good morning, Dougie. And then look, this is the last one. What town do you live in on the Silver Coast, Carl? That will be the San Martino de Porto, from where my last picture comes. And I want to share this with you because it's absolutely fantastic. I was there yesterday, just to conclude now. I was there yesterday with my mother, taking the dogs out for a walk, and coincidentally see a beautiful sunset. A young gentleman arrives in a large kind of camper van type vehicle, and he stands admiring the sunset. Turns out he is from Austria. And he's on his way. He's loving life in Portugal, or touring Portugal. He's going to the United States and Mexico soon on his tour. And he stood in the sunset like this. And I said, "Hey, can I take your picture?" No, I shouted to him, "Hey, can I just take a picture?" And he stepped out of the picture thinking he was in my way. I said, No, with you in it. And this is what we got. Look at this. San Martino de Porto, everybody. There he is, young Thomas. I sent it to him on his phone. Bon voyage, bon voyage, Thomas. Hope you have a great time in Portugal and have a fantastic time in the United States and in Mexico. So we'll see everybody tomorrow. And when we'll talk to Jacqueline Mullen about mortgages, anything you want to know about mortgages in Portugal, Jacqueline will be with us tomorrow. Looking forward to chatting to her on Consumer Tuesday. Have a great day. See you, folks. Have a good one. Bye for now. Ciao for now.